Thank you for joining us on another edition of The Opinion. Opinion is where we discuss issues that has to do with human and of course contributing to national development. Today's edition will be focusing on protests. There are planned nationwide protests and we'll be looking at the gains of protests and of course the pains of protest. My guest on this edition will be former ASUP National Secretary and former ASUP Chairman of the Federal Polytechnic Bida, in person of Dr. Nda Umar Usman Idris. You get to meet him after this timeout. Stay with us. Welcome back. In case you are just joining us, this is The Opinion on Amara TV, and just before the break I said we'll be discussing about protest, and my guest today is Dr. Nda Umar Usman Idris. Welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Now, what's your view concerning the planned nationwide protest?
Well, let me say first of all that protest is all about showing your plight, your feeling on maybe against policy that is not in tandem with your aspiration or someone's aspiration. And so, incidentally, our Constitution, the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, permits us to show our displeasure through peaceful assembly, peaceful protest. And so it is apt, it is okay to protest. My only challenge with the current protest is I don't know who is leading it. And in addition to the Constitution, which is the ground norm, the Police Act also provides that for any group that want to protest, it is expected that that group will write to the police for police protection. And so, if a group does not have face, how do you write to the police? So, the right to protest is not absolute. The group need to write to the police, because as much as you have the right to protest, there are those who also reserve the right not to protest. And as much as you have the right to protest, you don't have the right to disturb the peace and tranquility of the environment. You shouldn't loot, you shouldn't cause mayhem, because the state, in particular here the police, are also in charge of protecting the properties of the citizens. And so let's have face to it. If you have face to it, then I will have a lot to say about protest.
Now, since you actually said the police or the security agencies have a great role to play in protecting lives and properties during the protest, now what kind of measures will you want the security agencies to put in place so that this protest will not be hijacked by the so-called hoodlums or those that are against the democracy of Nigeria?
Thank you. In line with what you say, we are practicing democracy. And in democracy, protest is one of the key ingredients. Once you're not happy with policy, you can come out to show that displeasure through protest. Now, the duty of the police is to protect the citizens and also protect their properties. And so what the police need to do is to demand from the protesters where they wish to converge, where did they intend to go, the route they intend to follow, so that police will provide that protection along those routes to ensure that that same protest is not hijacked by hoodlums.
Now, just recently, from the social media, I stumbled on even in Niger State, Suleja precisely, they've started their protest already, and by writing enough is enough, we are not slaves, and the rest of them. And it's actually slated for 1st of August, but just before 1st of August, we started seeing some displeasure by the Nigerian citizens. Now, what will now be your call to government officials, of course, to the federal government concerning the nationwide protest?
Well, that is the challenge when you don't put face to an organization or to those calling for the protests. Anyone, anywhere can put up a banner to that effect. Now, if you have a responsible organization and they were able to write to the police will be aware of the date. Now that it is even coming before the 1st August, it will amount to ambushing the police, the security agents, which is not right, actually. I'm an activist, a social activist, that have been involved in protests for quite some time. And so I expect that the leaders of the protesters should put up a letter to the police when, where, and the route, so that it will not degenerate to violence, to riot. Because the police also have this constitutional right to protect the citizens and their properties. And once it degenerates to riot, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. It should be unpalatable. It should be unpalatable. So now that it is even happening, it means the police must be at red alert.
Now, taking a critical look at the EndSARS protests, especially in Lagos, if not because the Lagos state is actually buoyant enough to revive some of the economy there. Now, what really actually amount to, and from all indication as well, even the police, some should I say they are scared of what will be the outcome?
Of course, the police, or let me say the security agents, need to be afraid because anything can happen. If you allow protests, peaceful protests, to degenerate to riot, anything can happen. Anybody can be victim, including the security agents themselves. And that's what happened in the EndSARS. They started peacefully, and from nowhere, they approached the police threw tear gas, and before you know, gunshot. And so police need to get military backing, and from there, they said they used rubber bullet then, but we don't know, we're not sure, I wasn't there. But lives were lost, properties damaged. And so the fear, even now the fear of most of the populace, including the government, is not allowing the so-called peaceful protest to degenerate to riot.
Recently, the Minister of Education, Tari Maman, has instructed the VCs, rectors, and of course, the provosts in all tertiary institutions to ensure that students remain on campus. Do you actually think that's a good move? You get to answer that after this timeout. Stay with us. Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, this is The Opinion, and I still have Dr. Nda Umar Idris with me, and we have been discussing about the nationwide planned protest. And sir, just before the break, I was actually asking if it was a good move by the Minister of Education to ensure that yes, students remain on campus.
The fact that it's not long that students resume on campus, so it is better for them to remain, as suggested by the minister. It's not left for the school authorities to know that these students are within their care and that they need to pay attention to them. And he also instruct them to remain calm, to remain on campus, not to join any group. It's important. So it's not out of place because releasing the students now to go back home can be risky. Our roads are not safe. Once they get home again, they can also get themselves involved in the so-called protest. Since they are already in school, let them remain in school. They want to protest, let them protest in school peacefully.
Now, also being on campus is actually saved. What about the ones outside the campus, the ones that are living off campus?
Well, it's left for the school authority to instruct the security agencies so that they monitor them and ensure they remain calm. I expect that the management of each school should release circular to that effect to advise them and instruct them on what to do.
Even the security agencies within the school cannot do it. What will now be your call to this youth? Because it is tantamount that youth are always being used.
Yeah, my take is that youth should understand that this country belongs to all of us. And if the politicians call them out, they should ask the politicians where are their kids. Together, they can come out to protest. But if they just call and the kids are in UK, in US, then they should be careful. They should know that they only have one life. If they go out to protest, if they do it peacefully, fine. If they do it peacefully, fine. But they shouldn't allow it to degenerate to riot. They shouldn't disrupt traffic. They shouldn't loot shops. They shouldn't cause mayhem.
Right, so thank you very much for that. But before I let you go, what will now be your final words to the federal government, especially in answering some of these questions that the masses have been asking the federal government for months now?
Yeah, it is obvious that the government is now aware of the state or the plight of the people. They need to get to work and ensure that some of these issues are taken care of, and so that we will have the peace. And then let's also have the right environment, the right economy to strive. Nigerians are hardworking people.
Now they've been saying that youth are the leaders of tomorrow for years, but it's as if it's not actually coming forth.
It is. I have so many of them to cite now. Some of them were already leaders at the age of 30. So they are already there, but all of them cannot be there at the same time.
So the hope is not lost.
It's not.
Nigerians and the youth should also...
What is expected is let them make use of that opportunity given to them to say that we can do it. Yes.
To change the narrative of the country.
That's it.
Thank you very much for your time, sir.
Thank you.
Sincerely appreciate, and hope next we call on you, you oblige us.
Pleasure always mine.
All right, sir. Now that's about the size of today's edition of The Opinion, where we take a critical look at the planned nationwide protest. I'm Jonathan Le Rama. Join us next week for another edition of the program.